Oh, uh, hello and welcome to Animated Revolution, where cartoons get put in their place. You'll excuse me for being a little frightened right now. I'm reviewing a Star Trek medium piece, and well, as many of you can tell, I wear a red shirt most of the time, so I'm afraid I'm gonna die! But since 2016 is the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, I feel obligated to do a Star Trek-based review. And wouldn't you know it, Star Trek had its own animated series from 1973 to 1974. If you don't know anything about Star Trek by the year of 2016, you really don't pay attention to most things. The basic premise of most of the franchise is that the crew of the USS Enterprise, which is the flagship of the United Federation of Planets, explores the galaxy on a 5-year mission through space, encountering new planets, oddities, and incredibly cheap-looking aliens, boldly going where no man has gone before. Yeah, except for when that planet has life on it, but hey, if you know anything about Star Trek, you know that humans are the only ones that matter. The franchise has spanned out to 6 TV series, so far 12 movies, multiple books and comics, and a fan base about the same size as Star Wars' fan base. Star Trek's impact on the sci-fi genre is invaluable, and even if one series doesn't appeal to you, there are 5 others that might, and a new one coming in 2017. However, I am a simple man who does not care about a franchise's impact and only cares about if it tells good stories. Which it does. Mostly. My personal favorite series is The Next Generation, for its bigger budget, its interesting expeditions, and of course, Q.
Mon capitaine! He's back!
And I'm fairly certain I don't have to tell you which movie is my favorite.
I shall leave you as you left me, as you left her, marooned for all eternity in the center of a dead planet. Buried alive, buried alive.
So, with Star Trek Beyond coming out in July, I decided this was a great time to review the first episode of Star Trek the Animated Series. Speaking of Star Trek Beyond, guys, please stop hating on the Abrams films. They're good. Alright, so, with that said, sit back, relax, and let's boldly go where no fan wants to remember going with Star Trek the Animated Series, Episode 1, Beyond the Farthest Star. Well, I try to stay alive. Color dang you! So the episode opens with what else? The Enterprise flying through space while Kirk talks on his log.
A source of mysterious radio emissions. Mission? Star charting.
Dear Diary, today I finally slept with every woman on this ship, except for Uhura and Kristen Chap. On the edge of their maps, I think, they investigate a planet emitting strange radio waves, and then a red light starts flashing, either because they're being pulled into the planet by its massive gravity, or because the Enterprise has come alive and has begun eating the lower half of Scotty's body. Or maybe that's just his punishment for not being in the engine room. Yeah, this show's budget is really cheap. About classic Scooby-Doo levels of cheap, and it causes a lot of animation errors. However, what's more alarming is the presence of an actual alien besides Spock on the bridge. Please, tell me if there have been any instances in the original series where a bridge crew member besides Spock was not human. I need to know this! The Enterprise starts hurtling towards the planet because of... Spock, you explain.
I can only describe it as hypergravity, Captain. More powerful than any we've ever encountered. It's dragging the Enterprise toward it.
Ah yes, hypergravity. That thing that would normally be just gravity that's more intense than the Earth's own, wouldn't it? It's just gravity.
Blue, flank speed ahead. Our only chance is to try to get into orbit around that thing.
Aye, aye, Captain.
They find a way to slingshot themselves into normal orbit of the dead star and get another weird radio transmission from another ship. And oh, what the heck is that? So this cacophony of nightmares is supposed to be a ship currently dead, which is not indicated by how many holes it has in it, but because there's no temperature, even for all Spock knows, it could have been manned by a species that survives on sub-zero temperatures.
Unknown alloy, harder and lighter than any registered metal. It is not a recorded galactic starship design. Retroanalysis of the ship's spectra dates it as having been in orbit here for slightly more than 300 million years.
Okay, I'm not much of a science person, but I have to ask, how would you know it's been there for that long? Especially since you just said that the metal on the ship has never been seen before?
It's beautiful.
No, Uhura, it is not. It's horrifying and looks like the kind of spaceship that an evil race of aliens from the DC universe would use as a means of using its tentacle-like structure to grasp around the Earth and suck it of its resources dry. Wasn't this thing destroyed? So Kirk, who can't ignore a dead spaceship, even though it's gotten him into trouble so many times, I don't know. I haven't watched too much of the original series. Kirk decides that they should explore the derelict and preps his away team of Scotty, Bones, and Spock.
1 out of 10 times it's a deadly trap, but I'm ready to roll those dice!
Red. Red. Red! Red! Oh, come on, I could have sworn I had a green shirt or something.
Maybe it's in the abyss.
Maybe. Wait, what? Okay.
So they strap on life support belts and beam over to the derelict. Yep, life support belts. Those things that have never been seen outside of this series and would only really be impractical because anyone with a bad battery would suffocate and die in space. For example, walking in space is great. Oh no! Oh, my belt! I'll die. On the derelict, Scotty somehow comes to the conclusion that the metal wasn't cast but spun. Have you seen spun metal before, Scotty? What exactly makes it look different from metal that's been cast or rolled, or the metal that's on the Enterprise that would bring you to that conclusion? They also realized that upon closer inspection, whatever destroyed the ship did it from the inside out. And apparently that the crew must have done it. Not only that, but Kirk has a malfunctioning belt, as his force field is slightly to the right of where it should be. Do I have to keep track of all the animation errors? Oh, yep, look, there's the counter. The landing party starts checking out the interior, and Scotty and Bones are creeped out and feeling primitive next to the large structure of the ship and the scale of its technology. They come to the bridge, and Spock, as the logical one, uses a phaser to open the door, which closes behind them as if this was a freaking haunted house. And suddenly the crew's equipment stops working, except the invincible tricorder for some reason. And now they're trapped in the room with a giant Duck Dodgers technology. They find a jury-rigged control panel, which looks really well manufactured for something that's jury-rigged, and it's the source of the interference, but for what purpose? Thankfully, a dirty great alien monster I've always wanted to use that clip, shows up on screen to tell them that whatever's trying to get into the room is dangerous, and they destroyed their own ship to keep it here from the rest of the galaxy. Of course! It's Captain Tim! What?
You are protected only for this moment in this room.
Well, it's good to know that our heroes are absolutely 100% completely safe as long as they are in the... Sorry. Thought that might have been for me. Then they beam back to the Enterprise, where someone with an epic handlebar mustache warns them that a cheesy effect has beamed on board with them.
Whoa, what a cheesy effect! I'm not an effect!
As they try to get rid of it, it escapes into the ship, and I mean into the ship, possessing it and everything, so that now the ship is glowing on the outside. USS Enterprise, now with a minty, fresh taste. Everyone is fine, and Kirk finds that suspicious because, well, they were manipulated into fighting Klingons with swords once upon a time ago when their ship was invaded by a thing without a physical form once, so he's kinda right to be wary.
The message said that they had to destroy their own ship.
Until we learn more about it, Scotty, perhaps we should be ready to do the same. Take 2 of your men and arm the self-destruct device in the engineering core.
Aye, sir.
The leftover Gozer mist does not approve, and several decks have their life support cut and attempts to crush Scotty with the tube lid.
Come on, there's gotta be something I own that isn't red!
They cut off the hinges with a phaser and manage to remove him from the ship, trying to reclaim Scotty's legs. The thing then destroys the other ship with the Enterprise's phasers, and when it starts sifting through the computer, Kirk orders the navigation computer to be shielded so it can't fly away. The ghost of Dalek's speech patterns doesn't like this and now speaks to them directly after Kirk finds out that it needs the crew to man the starship. It starts giving orders to the laser they have now on the bridge.
I beg to differ!
Was it ever there before?
Remove the static shield from the warp drive controls.
I'll obey.
Anyway, Spock believes that it's a magnetic organism that reproduces through mitosis. How does he know if it even can produce?
And it can utilize the electronic control systems of a starship like the mind of a man uses the neural control systems of the human body. It has become the Enterprise.
So my ship is alive now. Excuse me, everyone, while I go make out with an exhaust port. I'm living through this! Kirk then tricks the alien by saying that he'll pilot the ship where the entity wants to go, but instead heads toward the dead star at ramming speed. The effect removes itself from the Enterprise and is deposited back onto the planet, returning its minty fresh taste as they use their warp drive to phase out of existence and appear on the other side of the planet? How the heck does that work?
Don't leave me alone. Please. Please. So lonely.
Isn't that just the way? First it's all, obey me, with the zapping, and suddenly, once you've forced it off of your ship by threatening a suicide crash and faces continuous eons of loneliness, especially since the Enterprise crew will more than likely warn Starfleet of it, and they'll pass the word on. Now it's saying please. Man, parasites just don't have any good manners anymore. Anyway, this episode is bad. The main concept presents a good idea, but it really doesn't go anywhere with it. That's probably because of the halved time limit, but that really should be no excuse for a good story. Most of the dialogue and technobabble makes the conflict difficult to follow and keeps kicking you out of the story. For its time, the animation is not that bad, but it still has this classic Star Trek cheapness. This was a bad way to start the show, especially since I've seen the second episode yesteryear, and let me tell you, that is a really good episode. And if yesteryear is any indication for the rest of the show, I might recommend it for more recreational viewing. Happy 50th anniversary to Star Trek, and I hope to see more fantastic products spawn from the franchise. Can I help you? What are you doing? Oh, it was just a dream. Note to self, fix Gin Buster. Anyway, what am I reviewing next? Star Trek The Animated Series, Episode 1, Beyond the Farthest Star. Well, better get the blue shirt.
I used to be an adventurer like you, till I took an arrow to the knee.